You're probably wondering when I was going to make this video. Maybe you weren't, but I'm back. Throat's better. We're good to go. So let's get into it. Mathias Soule, a little bit of analysis, a little bit of my thoughts, because again, there's some been key context that's missing here. Now, if you don't know, or you've not been paying attention to Leicester City transfer very much, Leicester City have been very interested, and there's been loads of talk on the following player, Mathias Soule. So again, he plays on the right wing, and he plays on the right wing, but he's been playing mostly as a cam for keep getting the name of that team that we got thingy from that he was on loan to last year. Where is it gone? Don't give him free advertisement. Frizzoni, I can't pronounce it. He was on loan last season, actually, with Akoli. Last season, Leicester have been heavily linked to this player, and something that hasn't gone away. What's different about this transfer? You look at the players that have been transferred before. Michael Golding was linked for a bit of a while, but came out of nowhere since KDH, and they did a bit of a swap deal. You've had Cordova Reed, who's been, hopefully I'm going to get a Fulham fan on to talk about him, but he's gutted that they've lost him. Came out of nowhere. I think it was broke once by Fabrizio Romano, followed very soon up by John Percy. And then Akoli was kind of hanging on a little, came out of nowhere, and then it kind of escalated quite quickly as well. All three players happened in a short period of time. Now, there's been lots of conflicting reports. Even today, if I go to Google, have I got the Google up? Have I got it up at the moment? Let me see if I find it. From before. And we look at Soule, there is reports all over the place. Just to show people that. So if I go to Google now and I type in Mathias Soule, one report saying Roma, one report saying his agreement has been reached by 30 million by Leicester Mercury. Roma have upped their offer. Big twist, West Ham are bidding and going to say it is all over the place. Now, there's a couple of reasons why on both sides. Number one, the reason why I'm talking about it now, because I don't like to talk about transfers until we get some solid reference and solid evidence. There's been some good quality sources like DiMarzio and lots of Italian journalists. And I'll give you some insight from some people from South America and some people that watch a lot of South American football as well who I've been speaking to. So I wanted to wait till we get all of the context and then give you my opinion, because there's a lot being said. So the main thing I want to show people is John Percy, who is pretty much, as a rule, when John Percy speaks, you listen. He is probably the best and breaks stories quite exclusively. He was the one that broke there was a lot of talk about Enzo. When he said Enzo was happening, I believed it. And he's the Midlands report, if you don't know, John Percy. And he has actually said, again, the following. So this was on Friday. Leicester City made a new bid of around 21 million for Juventus forward Soule. Offer is about 17 million plus a further 4.5 million in add-ons. So about, again, 21 million. Leicester hopeful of closing the deal next week. That is, I won't say fighting talk, but that is a strong statement from him. Does that say he's coming? He's definitely coming? No. But when John Percy speaks, you listen. If you look at the other transfers that he's got right in the past, they come true. Let me just see if I can bring them up. And when he speaks, you have to listen because he's there. Aston Villa, Onana, 50 million. 2 days afterwards, they release it. Milinkovic from Fiorentina. Again, mention that. He gets all of them right, pretty much. Another couple of players, Max Kilman. He mentioned him going to West Ham. Ollie Watkins, again, a little bit of Euros talk, everything. Makes a little bit about Steve Cooper. He knows his stuff. Now, he said the deal's going to happen this week, which is a strong statement. There's other players involved. So let's just go through the whole situation, because I've been trying to find, there's been so many sources saying so many different things. It feels like Juventus agents are playing certain players. Roma agents have been playing another player. West Ham have jumped in there last minute. I don't think it's a serious rumor, but from what I can see and what I can hear, and I'll give you some thoughts on it so far. Juventus want to sell because they're in a financial problem. The player wants to stay in Italy, and I'll get into some of the details of why that's not necessarily a bad thing. He wants to stay in Italy, which is fair enough, but they don't want to sell to a rival. Roma are a huge club, and Juventus, I think, just missed out, or they didn't finish within the top spots. They missed out, and they're going to have to sell to FFP. He's not getting in the squad. We're going to get into what kind of his play style is in a bit, but they want to sell him, and he's not good enough to get into their current squad. So they think he's a valuable asset that they bought him for not very much money. So try and again get pure profit on him, basically. Only like less than $1 million in terms of the transfer fee. This is a great opportunity for them. The player wants to go to Roma. Leicester's bid has been higher, but there's been lots and lots of noise. When John Percy spoke, I was like, right, that's a statement. I was waiting for him. I was waiting for Rob Tanner, David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano's. His reputation, without sounding too bad, isn't as good as it used to be. And I understand from a business perspective, he needs to retweet. Sometimes Fabrizio Romano will retweet something, I don't exactly know what it means. But he does it for engagement, followers, for money. And I totally understand that. The role, so coming into what kind of player he is a player out wide that likes to drift in and play as a number 10. So I don't think we're going to try and buy him to compete with Fatah. We'll play him. I'll see if I can find it. I just did a little bit of a drawing, a lineup builder. So I went for the 4-2-3-1, and I could see him playing as a number 8. I've put Wilfred Ndidi over the likes of Ricardo, even though Ricardo I think is better at playing that role, just because Wilfred Ndidi can be that firefighter if he needs to be, turning up at the back, Winks doing some of the number 8 roles. Then D. Cordova-Reid can play this side, and Soule would be either coming over this side or he'll be joining in, supporting the attack with Vardy up this side. But also he's got the opportunity to create goals, score goals, make a run in, late goals. And I think the club want to spend money to get him in. The thing is, there's been a lot said. The player is more convinced to want to go to Roma. Now, people have read into this, and the truth is, we just don't know how much more. Roma is obviously, and again, blue tinted glasses off. Roma is a huge club historically. Brilliant ground, brilliant stadium, playing for a legendary club. But Juventus don't want to sell to a rival, even though they're in financial problems. Roma are looking to up their bid and offer him kind of a similar bid to what Leicester, but Leicester's bid at the current time of recording is higher. The player would want to go. Again, Soule does want to go to Juventus, but it doesn't mean that he's completely not wanting to come to Leicester. Some people have read this as he's not interested. He doesn't want to come. He's got a preference. Doesn't mean that, for example, it could be, doesn't mean that he prefers his club, but if he doesn't get it, he's still got another club. The truth is we don't know. People just assume that he wants this one. He doesn't want anything to do with Leicester. No, it can be a bit of both. And you got to think they're playing European football. We're playing relegation battle with a 6-point deduction. That's going to weigh on his mind. And if you gave me the option as objectively, which one would you want to play for? You know what I'd pick if I'd play for Roma. And again, this is just me being objective as a fan. Not saying I don't prefer my club over Roma, but people have questioned his mentality. He's looking for the best deal for him. And in a football game, it's a reason why I don't blame Enzo too much. You have to go where the money is and where's best for your career. How do I feel about this transfer? I'm 50-50. If he comes, I'll be ecstatic. But I do think this is another Mahrez situation. But do the club need it? Because let's be honest, we've got some good players. We haven't really got a number 8. Golding will be a good player, but again, he's 18 years old. We can't put all this pressure on the young lad. Alves, again, has barely played, not been out on loan or anything. He's a good player, will take time to develop. So in this position, we do need somebody. And I think he'll be, you know how Carl Palmer was for Chelsea this season. He's a player that will win us points out of nowhere. He will drag us up the table. And I think he'll be an absolute baller for us. From what I understand, I'll bring up some. So, for example, there's 4 people, and I'll remember. I'll see if I keep forgetting. I will make sure to link them down below. Four accounts that I've been looking at massively and talking to. The one is Diego, Rody Foxes on Twitter. I'll try and remember to put his link. Leicester Argentina. There is 2 other clubs. So, by the way, he is Argentinian born, but he's gone over to Italy. He plays for Argentina, but he's since about 70 years old. He's grown up in Juventus's academy. So again, he speaks Italian and Spanish as his 2 languages. Doesn't really speak a lot of English. Juanse being one, and Joaquin. I think might have seen both on the channel. Diego's been on the channel before, quite a few years back. So you might have seen him. Now, something they've told me is that they're trying to convince the Spanish community that the representatives or people that speak Spanish, or the Spanish, like the Latin community, they want him to be like, basically they're convincing him that goes, look, there is your community here. You can come here. You can make it feel like home, because he's very family orientated, and that's nothing wrong with that. That's something I prefer, because you're less likely to get into loads of BS like other players were that are trying to play the etc. Is that something else? But you see what I mean? We're trying to convince the community here to go, look, there is a community of Argentinians and South Americans that you will have as your family and your base. You won't have to speak English to all the time, and that's something that he's got to consider. He doesn't mean that he's against Leicester. We've put a big contract, I think, for like 2029, 5 years on the table, just like for Tau. And because we're getting a lot of fee up front, we will pay him less in wages, which I think the club prefers, because that's how they got shot in the back last time for the deal. Roma not Roma. Yeah, Roma and just Italian clubs in general. Look, you look at what happened with Christensen, what's currently happened with Christensen with Bologna. Dennis Pratt, how many years did he want to go back to Italy? And they went, read about £4.001, £4.0002 million. They take their time, and that could be a factor for him. Because Soule might go, I want you, but do you want me? And I'll put the money up front, and I'm yours. And I think his price will double, just like Fatah's will. I think he's that talented, and I think he'll be a baller. And for me, if he comes, he will be the difference between us staying up and us going down. If you take Cole Palmer out of that Chelsea team, how many points or positions do they drop? I'm not saying that he is Cole Palmer. I'm saying that his effect on this team can be as drastic as that. Not to put a lot of pressure on the lad, just because, again, some of his stats and everything are unbelievable. A lot of those people from, again, Argentinian links and things aren't convinced. But again, when John Percy speaks, you listen. And that's something. Now, there's a couple of other things I want to mention about his attitude. I think his attitude's been good so far. I think I understand why a Coley could be someone to kind of convince him, but again, that's not his decision to see how it is. But again, he'll got an Italian person speaking there. Ricardo, I know he speaks Portuguese, but he can speak Spanish as well. There are other people at the club that can help facilitate that as well, so it's not too much of a problem. I think he'll be, again, a good player, but it's all down to Roma. If Roma match or exceed our offer, he goes, in my opinion. He's not forcing a move. And I think this is something that people want to see. Or, again, there's been so many different rumors and so many different things that I don't want to make sense. But they propose a new signing, that they are thinking about it, offering a slightly different package. Leicester is more cut and dry. We're going to offer you this, and this is the bonuses, etc., related to that. So they're hoping to get it done this week. I think it's 50-50 that this happens. The reason why I've held off from this story, because I've been super excited about it, I wanted to get the full context. I wanted somebody from our side, from the Leicester side, to come out and say something. Just like, with Tielemans, there was lots of different people saying, Tielemans going to Arsenal, Tielemans going to Arsenal. However, there was nobody from the Leicester end that was coming out and saying, he is going. That spoke volumes to me. Now, John Percy come out, who's one of the best in the Leicester sphere. That's saying something. It is down to Roma. And Roma is, again, let's be honest, it's a better option as a player. And he gets to stay in Italy and etc. etc. And this is a statement signing if we get him, because we've always spent 35 million in the window. I think we've done some great business so far. He's a young player, he's talented. with that formation, or if we just want him to go and run at defenders, then we can get some players in the defensive position, and we can just let him do what he needs to do. It's just about the convincing about the family aspect, etc. And again, speaking new language is hard. Relocating, it's not easy. But if we can sell him on that and say, look, what we're going to put in place for you, we are a family club. I know the whole betting and the whole sponsorship is a different thing, but we are that. It is just down to Roma and what they want. I think they've done. We will see in the next few years, next few days, what the solution is. But there's so much noise, which is why I've been not hesitant. There's been hesitance to pause it. Juventus want rid. Roma if they match, but you know how Italian clubs that try and penny pinch at every opportunity. And I think if he comes, I think we stay up because I think he's that difference maker, and I think the club know that, which is why they're putting in a bid and making sure that he's looked after. They're putting all the things in place. If we don't get him, it's okay. I'm not gonna stress too much, but he's a good. He will be a fantastic player, and I think the likes of how Mahrez kind of lit up the team when he got going. I could see him doing exactly the same because the talent is there. When I was linked to him initially, I was like, no chance we're getting him, no chance, because he's too good for Leicester City at this moment in time. But if we get him, my God, that's a statement signing because he's going to be brilliant. But it is again down to the player. Can we convince him? This is where we go. Do we trust the club? Do we trust what they're going to do? A lot of the Argentinian, like I mentioned before, are not convinced by it. Italian clubs saying all sorts of things in terms of journalism, so it is up in the air. But I just want to tell people again, give you the update because some people on the left side have said things. Well, one person who's probably the best, let's be honest, one of the best, John Percy. And time will tell. I'm not going to make bold promises. Again, I could easily go, he's coming to Leicester immediately and get all the clicks. But I'd rather be honest and be, this how we fit in. He's a good player. Again, his mentality, I think, is we don't know. And a lot of this information we don't know because there's so much conflicting evidence. And I think this is just dealing with Italian journalists, and not all of them are bad, and not all of them, but there's so many things that I see that I'm like, that's good, that's bad. But then you said this, and then you're saying the opposite. For example, so he's coming to Leicester, 5-year contract, 40k a week, 20 contract to 2029. Then also saying that about Roma just a week later. If we don't get him, I'm okay. If we do get him, I'm happy, but I am looking, going, right, he's probably having one foot out the door, going, want to go back, but he's on a good amount of money. I think if we can convert, again, if we do get him, and it's weird that I'm already talking about we're going to sell him. But the club, we need to go back to a model where we have to sell a good player, get another player in, sell a good player, reinvest that in the squad, get some more players and slowly grow, especially with the point deduction this season. I think he could be the player that turns it on for us. And again, even if he doesn't, we've still got Fatawa there. We've still got Jamie Vardy, who will still turn up. Harry Winks is still a decent player. You've got Yannick Vestergaard. You've got Hermansen. We've got a great squad. And if he comes, thank you very much. I'd love to see you. I'd love to see him in a Leicester squad. But if he doesn't come, don't be too disappointed. Maybe it's just people on social media who will just have extreme opinions. It's the end of the world. This club's finished. Blah, 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 blah. Look, we are punching above our weight. And I'm surprised we've got this far. But let's see what happens. If he happens, if not, thank you. We've got to move on to the next person. If he joins Roma. If he does join us, we've got a great player on our hands. But I just don't want another Mahrez situation where he's trying to kick it. He's trying to go get out the door in every opportunity. I think we've moved on since then because at that time we were very reliant on Mahrez. And we never really replaced him. Yes, we replaced him with that Maddison, but then we were too reliant on Maddison and Barnes. And now with what happened last year, the squad is more equal. It's more of a whole team. So yeah, it's a little bit of my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll try and bring you some updates when they happen, but again, only when they come out. I was going to do a video on Fatawu. There wasn't really any point because I've already done one. If you go back in the channel and research one, I think I got it. I think I got it mostly all right there. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you all in the next video. So goodbye.